What is manifestation, and can we all do it?
The question isn't whether we can all do it, because the thing is we're all doing it all day long, every day, whether we're aware of it or not.
Okay.
The best way to think about manifestation is to understand that we are living in a time-space reality that functions exactly like a mirror. This is a mirror hologram designed for the sake of learning. So pretend that you are God, right? And what I mean by that, usually when you say you are God, people think about, that booming white bearded dude in the sky, right?
Right, exactly.
That's a very, it's like the ego projects that identification over the idea of the universe. But if you can think more of God as a united consciousness that all beings are a part of and are indivisible from, then you are an extension of that God source energy. And as that united consciousness, if you wanted to become conscious of yourself, you would have to begin to fracture yourself off so that you were capable of stepping out of first-person perspective, so you were able to look at yourself. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So what better way? So then, of course, this happened to, let's talk linear time. Even though linear time doesn't exist in a quantum universe, let's say that idea or that decision happened so long ago that it's like you can't even fathom, right? But Earth, where we're living today, this time-space reality in this particular universe, which is designed according to a law called law of attraction. All law of attraction is a law of mirroring. It says that the way that we, as source energy, are going to become self-aware is by every time we think a thought, it's going to reflect externally. It's like the ultimate stepping out of first-person perspective so you can take a look at yourself from the outside looking in. So if I think a thought, it's going to manifest in my reality. And that is how we are creating. We are creating by virtue of what we are paying attention to.
I love it. Till, you're so awesome. You're so awesome. Like, seriously, you explain this so well. I don't know. I mean, this topic isn't really that simple to explain, but you explain it so well. So, basically, what is the law of attraction?
It's just a tendency. See, like in human life, we think of laws as like these fixed, absolute, I guess, ways to live, like a conduct. But a law within the universe is just a trend, kind of like there's a law of gravity. And so what you watch is, anytime there's a new time-space reality created within the universe, it's created according to these tendencies or laws, because that particular law, which is just an agreed upon, it's like an agreement. So we, before coming into this physical life, before even projecting ourselves forward, we're adopting the perspective of attraction-based universe instead of repelling-based universe, or we're adopting the agreement that there's going to be gravity in this time-space reality, so we're not going to be able to fly or fill in the blank because of how that's going to serve us.
Right.
So, for example, it's just something that we all agreed upon before coming into this time-space reality because of how we thought it would benefit us. So instead of, say, focusing on something and having that disappear from our reality, we decided we would focus on something and it would appear in our reality.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow. Okay, so feelings, words.
Okay.
Some people say that feelings are very powerful. Basically, you attract what you feel. Mm-hmm. You also attract what you speak often. Why is that?
Well, we should challenge that, because universe doesn't give a crap what you say. Yeah. The only reason that somebody can say what you say has impact is because quite often what you say mirrors the way you actually feel.
Right.
But the words don't really matter. So does the universe respond to how you feel? 100% absolutely. But the thing is we have to understand that the feelings are a reflection of the vibration that you hold. So this mirroring construct that I said that we have stepped into in this time-space reality, it is mirroring your vibration.
Right.
So energy is always moving. For those of you that don't understand vibration, energy is always moving. Energy is the same no matter what it is. So it's like regardless of whether it's your hat or the table or you yourself, you're all made of atoms, you know, the same stuff. We're all made of the same stuff.
Same stuff, exactly.
So the way that that same stuff moves actually dictates whether it is a baseball cap or a cup or a person. And we call that a vibration. And within a person, there are multiple vibrations. So you have a vibration relative to money. You have a vibration relative to every different subject in your life. And that vibration is going to be mirrored exactly externally. That means I have a negative idea about money. I attract negative circumstances with money in my day-to-day life. That's what's going to mirror for me. So our feelings are always the indication of what vibration we are currently holding. If I am holding a negative feeling vibration, all that means is the vibration of what I want and the vibration of what I'm actually focused on or believing are in two separate spaces. The gap between them is large, essentially. And so feelings are really your best bet at understanding pre-manifestation. So when we get into the manifestational reality like you're in and I'm in, what we're concerned with is, how do I have enough pre-manifestational awareness that I know what I am creating before it is created? Because that's when you become a deliberate creator. That's when life gets real fun, because instead of stuff just blindsiding you and you having no idea of why it's happening, you are actually completely acutely aware of what you are lining up with, and not only that, you are deliberately choosing it.
I love it. I love it too. I love it. Okay, so how can we raise our vibration? How can we raise it?
There's a whole ton of different ways. There's a whole ton of ways. I did a whole video on that, in fact.
Did you?
Yeah, primarily the best way to raise your frequency is to change your perspective.
Okay.
If you change your perspective based about something that you're looking at so that you feel an improvement about that thing that you're focused on, then you have increased your vibration. That is the number one way to increase vibration. But here we run into a huge, you ready for this? This is like the stumbling block. And what I'm about to give you is actually very cutting edge knowledge. Not many people are teaching it. So prepare yourself for this one.
I'm ready.
Focusing positively is the best way to increase your frequency until the point at which you are using positive focus to escape a negative emotional state. At which point, positive focus becomes the mode of resistance. And so to release resistance, you've got to stop focusing positively and go directly in the direction of what you are resisting. That is the negative emotional state, or whatever you're trying to run away from.
That's also known as the law of resistance, correct?
I have never heard it called that, but maybe you could...
Well, thing is, my favorite author, Florence Scovel Shinn, she talks about, she says basically, whatever you resist, persists.
That's law of attraction.
Right, basically. Yeah.
So law of resistance would be, that's a fabulous way of describing a subset of law of attraction. It's just that whatever you focus on is going to come into your reality. This is what sucks so much if you're living on planet Earth. Because it's like you look at something and you say, oh, I love it, I want that, and so it comes into your reality. But right. You look at something and you say, I hate that, I don't want it at all, and it comes into your reality.
Right.
Because you're looking at it.
So focus. Focus is key.
Yes.
What we give our attention to grows, basically.
Yes.
Fantastic, too. You're awesome. You're freaking awesome. All right. How can we attract more money in our lives, too?
Well,
money. Bring stuff.
Thing. The first part is we got to focus in the direction of abundance.
Right.
You can't, this is very difficult for people, of course, and I understand. I have total empathy for the fact that this is hard because let's say you're living in a circumstance where you're feeling all this poverty. How, from that standpoint, can you then look around your reality and feel abundant? But regardless of whether you're justified in feeling that that is difficult, it's an absolute necessity for you to get into the vibration of abundance in order for abundance to mirror in your reality. And so instead of taking it personally, this is where we go real wrong with money, is that when we are attracting like a lack of money, we tend to take it personally and we're like, well, the universe is totally against me. What we have to remember is that this universe does not see itself as separate from us. So it's not like a parent figure being like, oh, I'll help you out because you can't figure it out on your own. It's literally as impartial as a mirror. So
Right.
if I get into the attitude of abundance, abundance will mirror. End of story. It's that impartial. So what we have to do, from no matter where we are, and I do this with people who are literally on the street, so I'm pretty sure most people who are going to practice this are above that particular pay scale. Basically what we've got to do is we've got to get ourselves into an attitude of focusing on how we already have abundance, and also spending more time focusing on the feeling of the abundance we want to attract in our reality future-wise, instead of where we are currently.
Right.
So that's part one. Part one is that, and I can tell you some, like, one of my favorite games about that. Actually, I'll do that first before I go to the second part.
Okay, please do.
One of my favorite games for that is you play an abundance exercise where you pretend to be somebody who has less abundance than you. So let's say that I live in a crappy apartment in projects. What I would do is I would pretend to be like from some sub-Saharan African tribe, basically. And I would imagine that I get dumped into my life. What would I appreciate? What would I think is kingly or abundant about my life? I mean, it might be the fact that I have a shower. I mean, for some people on Earth, if they walked into the average, like, projects home, they'd be like, whoa, there's a stove! Like,
Right, exactly.
So we have to take on that perspective looking at our life in order to feel more abundant. So that's one of my favorite games to play with myself, and have people play with themselves. There's another thing here though too. So let's pretend that you've got so much resistance to money that you just can't get anywhere, and it's like no matter how hard you positively focus, all that does is make you more aware of how little you do have, right? If you're in that state of lack, that's one of those circumstances where focusing positively towards money is going to just do nothing but it's basically resistance to the very thing you're trying to create. So if that's the case, you go in the total opposite direction. You let yourself fully sink into that feeling of lack. Because the lack is essentially what's chasing you forward, and that resistance is going to keep you stuck there. So it's like you go straight into the eye of the storm by sitting in that feeling of lack, letting yourself just completely surrender to it. And a lot of times when we feel a sense of lack, like this is just an interesting side note, a lot of times those of us that feel a sense of lack, we were weaned too early. That's one of the most common patterns you find. So it's a trauma-based thing, which we went through. Where we were young, we were sucking on mom's breast. She decided she was done doing it. She weans us, and then that's our abundance. So suddenly the universe is not going to provide us with our needs, and that becomes a belief system that carries on into the future. So what we can do is we can use the emotional state, that intense lack, that powerful feeling, right? And then we can ask ourselves the question, when was the first time I felt this? And you can actually feel yourself getting sucked back into the original memory of like being a baby and having that same feeling. And so after you sit with the feeling in that memory, you can then transition into adult perspective within the memory, and you can alter causation, is what they call it. So let's say that I'm the adult, I'm in the scene with myself as a little baby, and I'm not getting, breast milk. I can basically pick the baby up, validate the feeling, oh, you're so right to feel this way and so powerless, and nobody deserves to not have their needs met, and this is not okay, and then you can say, get them another mother who does want to nurse them, or else yell at mom and get her to want to nurse the baby again. It's just whatever it basically takes for there to be an improvement in the vibration that you've been stuck in that prior trauma will actually cause an alteration in the vibration that you're holding.